I leave y'all alone for one day and you're fighting with influencers on the internet instead of directing your anger where it really needs to be, against the Republicans who aren't fully funding FEMA. I'm not going to hold your hand when I say this because you're a grown-ass person. But part of the reason this is all happening is because not enough people are holding politicians accountable. Oh, but Casey, I vote in every single election. That's great. Do your neighbors? Do your friends and family? Do you know why all of these Republicans didn't vote for that FEMA relief funding? Could you explain it in a conversation without getting mad and yelling at someone? Now, some of you are long-term followers and you can, and I love that. But some of you need to be really, really honest about the kind of content that you consume on this app, because anytime I try to explain something political, my videos rarely get views. But if I bring you a video of two congresswomen fighting or two Republicans fighting over Donald Trump, I get so much more interaction because people like that. It's interesting. People find congressional matters boring, which is totally understandable, but that's how we got here. So maybe that's my sign as a content creator to do better. But I think it's also representative of a larger issue in this country, which is the fact that congressional politics is boring. Procedural stuff, it's hard to get through. And I'm not saying that you can't use this app or any other hobby as a mental health break, but I am saying that turning a blind eye to these issues because they're boring and unexciting is how we got here. Also because people don't want to get into the hard work of confronting internalized racism and misogyny, which we should definitely keep talking about, but today I'm specifically going to be talking about this FEMA issue. So a rumor was started by Trump and the Republicans that FEMA monies were being funneled to migrants, which is the lie they're using now to justify why they didn't vote for additional monies for FEMA in the stopgap bill. Because while the stopgap bill kept the government running, it was missing a tremendous amount of funding for FEMA, and in fact, they will likely run out of funding before the hurricane season is over, which is a big problem, not just for Western North Carolina, but also for Florida, because Hurricane Milton is barreling down on the state and they haven't even recovered from Hurricane Helene yet. The Republicans literally held our government hostage to prevent additional monies going to agencies like FEMA for disaster relief. And if that isn't a villain origin story, and yet somehow, some way, every single election, like almost half of the voting electorate just shows up and votes for them anyway. It's almost like they're not paying attention. Now, thankfully, and almost immediately, Republicans and Donald Trump were fact-checked over the FEMA money rumors. No, Biden didn't take FEMA money and give it to migrants, but guess what? Donald Trump did. Because projection. Upon being fact-checked, Speaker of the House Mike Johnson's like, yeah, you're right. The money that's earmarked for FEMA isn't the same money that's being used to house migrants. That's true. But FEMA still sucks, perhaps because it's patently underfunded, like most social services in this country. I'm going to show you a list of the Republicans that voted against funding FEMA. It's so long in my notes app that I have to record it for you. These Republicans voted against fully funding FEMA in the middle of a hurricane season. And some might say, well, why would we fund an agency that's not efficient? And to that, I would say it's the same reason why you don't take money away from a school that's failing. Because if a school is failing, it needs additional supports. It doesn't need you to take money away from it. And next you might say, Casey, that's old news. That's like last week. What are they doing about it now? Nothing. They're not doing anything because Speaker Mike Johnson won't reconvene the House to deal with this issue. He's like, we're going to wait until after the election. Do you know why that is? Do you know why that is? Because they don't want to give the Democrats any credit before an election. They're so worried about not getting reelected that they will put people in jeopardy. They will put people in danger by spreading disinformation and refusing to fund FEMA, even though they could, and even though they should. Mike Johnson's using the flimsy excuse that they need time to assess how much money FEMA will actually need, while FEMA is taking time away from helping people to dispel the lies that the Republicans have spread. Do you all not see that this is happening? Like, that's FEMA. They had to make an official post to explain to people that the $750 is just a one-time needs assistance grant that's given immediately. And it's only one type of assistance that's available. There's many others that you can apply for and that they will help you apply for. This is taking time and federal dollars to do because Republicans put those rumors out there to try to discredit Democrats before an election. This is the exact opposite of patriotism. When there has been a disaster, a natural disaster that has claimed thousands and thousands of lives. And while I agree, it is important to hold people accountable because the people that they vote for do represent their ideals. And you can't claim to be an ally to a marginalized group and then vote for politicians who do harm to those marginalized communities. But instead of fighting with strangers on the internet here on TikTok, I beg of you to contact your congressperson and tell them you demand that they fully fund FEMA. If you're not sure who your congressperson is, I can help you find them. And if you're not sure if your congressperson is on this list, drop their name in the comments and I'll let you know. There is one political party that is specifically standing in the way of the other political party, preventing our government from doing what it needs to do to help people. And if you don't elect a House of Representatives and a Senate that are full of people that are going to help those policies move forward, there's nothing that any president can do about that. Class dismissed. Go call your congresspeople.